Hello everyone, Assalamu alaikum. This is Muhammad Shahadat Hussain, English teacher of Harjari Girls High School and College. My dear students, today I have appeared before you with the next portion of transformation of sentences from affirmative to negative. I hope you practiced what I discussed in my last online class. Dear students, you certainly know that we need to use both affirmative and negative sentences in our daily conversation. So it's very important to follow the way to make both of the sentences. Let's go to our discussion without delay. Again, I need to remind you to follow the classes telecast by Shansad Television. English second paper, class 9 and 10. We are discussing transformation of sentences from affirmative to negative, part 2. Dear students, here you see a chart. In affirmative sentence, if you get always. In negative sentence, you have to use never in place of always, and you have to use opposite word of the head word of the sentence. Then other words will not be changed. Here you see an example. He is always active in his work. He is never inactive in his work. Here in place of always we have used here never, then opposite word of active is inactive. Then other words of the sentence have not been changed. He is never inactive in his work. In affirmative sentence, he always obeys the rules. In place of always we have to use never, so we have used here never. Opposite word of the head word, here head word is always, its opposite is disobeys. Then the rules, other words of the sentence, he never disobeys the rules. Clear? Now take another rules. In affirmative sentence, if you get the sentence following this structure, subject plus to be verb plus adjective plus other words of the sentence, if you want to make it negative, you have to use subject plus to be verb plus not. Then opposite word of adjective, then you have to use other words of the sentence. Now take example. In affirmative sentence, he is a good boy. He is not a bad boy. Has not been changed. Then we have to use not, so you have used here not. Then in place of good we have used here bad, because bad is the opposite word of good. Then other word boy has not been changed, so he is not a bad boy means he is a good boy. Then to appease his wrath is difficult. Here subject is to appease his wrath, then be verb is then difficult, adjective is difficult. So see, to appease his wrath, this is the subject, has not been changed. Then to be verb, we have used here to be verb. Then we have to use not, we have used here not. Then opposite word of difficult, opposite word of difficult is easy, and that's why we have used here easy. To appease his wrath is not easy. Now go to the next. In affirmative sentence, if you get a sentence follows this structure, subject, be verb plus very plus adjective plus other words of the sentence. If you want to make it negative, you have to use subject, then be verb, then you have to use not, then opposite word of adjective, then other words of the sentence, then you have to use at all. Okay, now take example. He is a very brilliant student. He is, we have used not. Then in place of brilliant we are going to use the opposite word of brilliant. The opposite word of brilliant is dull. We have used here dull. Then other words of the sentence, a student at all. Then in the end of the sentence we have used here at all. He is not a dull student, at all. Struggling against corona is very difficult. Struggling against corona is not easy at all. In place of difficult, we have used here easy, opposite word of difficult. So in the last part of the sentence, we have used here at all for very. But very is not used in this negative sentence. Here see, very has become abolished. In affirmative sentence, if you get any sentence with this structure 2-2, that means in the blank here will be a word, or in place of to you have to use so, then in place of to you have to use that, then you have to use the subject, then cannot or could not according to the tense of the sentence, then you have to use present form of verb, then other words of the sentence. The girl is too weak to walk. Here see the structure here, to and to. So we have to change in this way. In place of to we have used here so, then the word, then in place of to we have to use that, then we have used here that, then subject here. But you have to remember that we cannot use here the noun of the subject. We have to use pronoun of the subject here. The girl is a female subject, and that's why we have used here she. Then the sentence is in present tense, and that's why we have used here cannot. Then other words of the sentence, here other word is walk, so we have used here walk. The girl is so weak that she cannot walk. That means the girl is too weak to walk. Here see another example. The boy was too short to touch the fan. The boy was so short that. In place of to we have used here so, then short, then in place of to we have used here that, then subject again. The pronoun of the subject, the boy, is he. So then we have used here could not. Why? Because the sentence was in past tense. Here was has been used. So was is a symbol of past indefinite tense, and that's why we have used here could not touch. So the boy was so short that he could not touch. In affirmative sentence, if you get the structure NP1, that means noun or pronoun 1, then verb, then comparative degree, then noun or pronoun 2. If you want to make it negative, you have to use noun or pronoun 2 in the beginning of the sentence, then you have to use verb, then you have to use not, then you have to write as, then you have to use positive degree of that comparative degree, then you have to use as again, then you have to use noun pronoun 1 here. Okay, now see the example. Hira is taller than Mahia. Here Mahia is noun pronoun 2, Hira is noun pronoun 1. Mahia has been used in the beginning of the sentence, then Hira has been used in the last part of the sentence. Here then verb is has been used here, then we have to add not here, then as again as here, then taller has become positive tall, taller, tallest. So taller is the comparative degree and tall is the positive degree of this word, and as has been used here again, then noun pronoun 1 Hira is noun 1 and noun 1 has been used here. So Mahia is not as tall as Hira. Now take another example. Here Salma is more brilliant than Saima. Salma is noun pronoun 1 and Saima is noun pronoun 2. That means Salma is noun 1, noun 2, Saima. So Saima is not, first of all Saima, then noun pronoun 2, then verb is his, then not, then we have used here as, then more brilliant is the comparative degree, so we have to use positive degree of that comparative degree. More brilliant has become only brilliant. Then as, then we have to use noun pronoun 1, Salma. Here Salma, noun pronoun 1 has been used here. Saima is not as brilliant as Salma. In affirmative sentence, if you get the structure in this way, at first you will get subject, then verb, then superlative degree with definite article, then modifier of the sentence. No other. In negative sentence, you have to make this structure. No other plus modifier, then verb, then as, then positive degree, then you have to use as again, then subject of the sentence. Okay, now take example. Tahsan is the tallest boy in our class. Here Tahsan is the subject. Then the tallest is the superlative degree of the sentence. Now at first you have to use no other. Okay, we have used here no other, then modifier of the sentence. So modifier, boy in our class. So boy in our class has been used here. Then verb is, then you have to use as, then tallest, taller, tallest. So tall is the positive degree. Tallest, tall. Then as, then subject of the sentence Tahsan has been used here. So no other boy in our class is as tall as Tahsan. That means Tahsan is the tallest boy in our class. Sakina has been used here. No other girl in our school is as brilliant as Sakina. That means Sakina is the most brilliant girl in our school. In affirmative sentence, if you get the structure, if plus affirmative clause plus subject plus verb plus other words, you have to use without plus verb plus ing plus other words, or if plus verb negative plus other words of the sentence plus subject and verb negative, then other words of the sentence. Here two rules. You can make the sentence negative in any way. This way plus this way, or this way plus this way. Okay, now take example. If you read, you can learn. So first you have to use without. So we have used here without, then verb plus ing, read is the verb, read plus ing, reading, then subject, then verb negative, can has become cannot, then learn, other word of the sentence. So you can make the sentence negative in other way. See, if you, then verb negative, do not, read, do not read, then subject plus verb negative, verb can has become negative, cannot, then other word of the sentence, learn. So take another example. If you obey the rules of hygiene, you can be safe from COVID-19. Without obeying the rules of hygiene, you can't be safe from COVID-19. Without plus verb plus ing, then other words of the sentence, then you can't, subject plus verb negative, can't, then be safe from COVID-19, other words of the sentence. In affirmative sentence, if you get the structure in this way, every plus noun plus other words, you have to make it negative in this way. First of all, you have to write there is no, then you have to write noun, then but, then other words of the sentence. Now take example. Every father loves his child. Here every has been used in this affirmative sentence. In place of every, we have to use there is no. Then we have to use the noun. Here father is noun, we have used here. Then we have to use but, we have added here but. Then other words of the sentence, loves his child. These other words have been used here. There is no father but loves his child. Then see the next example. Every player tries to win a match. So every has become used in this affirmative sentence. In place of every, we are going to use there is no. Then noun player, we have used here player. Then we have to use but. This but has been used here, but then tries to win a match. Tries to win a match, it is the other words of the sentence. If you get in affirmative sentence, if you get all plus verb plus other words, you have to make the sentence negative in this way. At first you have to write who, then you have to write doesn't, then you have to use verb, then other words of the sentence, then note of interrogation should be used in the last of the sentence. Then in affirmative sentence, all know him. Who doesn't know him? Here all has been abolished. In place of all, here who doesn't has been used here. Then no verb, then other word of the sentence, then note of interrogation has been used here. Okay, see the next example. All want to be happy. Who doesn't want to be happy? In place of all, we have used here who doesn't. In affirmative sentence, if you get the structure who plus verb plus note of interrogation. In negative sentence, you have to use nobody plus verb, then full stop. Okay, see the example. Who cares it? In place of who, we have used here nobody, then cares, then it, then note of interrogation has become abolished and it has become full stop. Nobody cares it. That means who cares it? Who cares it? Nobody cares it. Who wants to be hated? Who in place of who? Nobody. Then wants to be hated. Question. Then in place of this note of interrogation, we have to use here full stop. Here is a mistake, so I am going to. Then in affirmative sentence, if you get as soon as plus first clause, then comma, then second clause, we have to make the sentence negative in this way. First of all, we have to write no sooner had, then we have to use the subject, then our verb in the first clause will be verb first participle, then other words of the sentence or other words of the clause, then in place of comma, this comma will be abolished here now, it will be then we have to use second clause without changing. Okay, now let's see the example. As soon as I saw him, he ran away. Here as soon as has been used in this affirmative sentence. Okay, so now to make it negative, use no sooner had. Then subject here I has been used here. Then past participle of the verb saw has become seen. She saw seen. Then other word of the sentence him has been used here. Then we have to use then in place of comma. This comma has been abolished here. Here you see then has been used. Then other clause of the sentence, he ran away. The whole clause has become used here. He ran away. Then as soon as I heard the news, I phoned my father. No sooner had, then subject I, heard is the past form of the verb and past participle is same. Heard. Here heard. Then the news, other words, then comma will be abolished. In place of comma we have to use then other clause of the sentence. I phoned my father. Let's transform the following sentence into negative accordingly. That means this is your homework. So everybody write down your homework. When our school will be opened, that time I'll see your homework. So please try to do it attentively. Sabiha is the most genius player in our team. The earth is bigger than the moon. Every student wants to do well in the exam. All love him for his honesty. Naima was too small to solve the problem. He is both a student and a player. She must change her eating habit. I had to put out the lamp. If you stay at home, you will be safe. Who will bail the cat? As soon as the man opened the mask, the police recognized him. So, thank you for staying with me. Stay at home, stay safe. Have a nice time.